All right, we're back in open session. I'd like to entertain a motion to seal the minutes from executive.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor? In executive session, discussion was held with the school committee. I'd like to entertain a motion to bring 9D
So moved. To the top.
to the top. Motion been made and second to bring 9D up forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
You can say aye, too.
Sorry.
9D. Police Chief Jones' presentation is $6,000 check for legislation grant by Representative Edwards and Senator Felak to support police department and public safety drone program. And I also understand that there's a check for the recreation department.
Is there two checks? Okay. So if you don't
There's
mind,
3 checks. I'm getting
well,
this.
3,000 for the recreation.
3,000 for the recreation. Okay. I don't have to add that to the agenda. No.
so sit down. Good evening.
down.
I'd like to thank the senator and the representative. As always, their support of the police department is unmatched. But what I'd like to do is, as part of what we're doing with this $6,000 grant from the legislature, is to look at a public safety drone project, which is being led by Sergeant Jason Kobalecki and Sergeant Ryan Huber. So just to make, they're going to make a small presentation because we know the rep and the senator want to get home. But I think it was important just so everyone can see where this money is going to go and where we're going to utilize it. Sergeant.
Thank you, Chief. For those that don't know me, anybody here, I'm Sergeant Ryan Huber. I've been here for 7 years. First off, I'd like to thank the representative and the senator for the money that they're going to be giving to us. It's going to be used as a foundation to support our department's public safety drone program. I can assure you both that this money will be put to good use to ensure the safety of the community and the officers who serve it. The reason for this program, how it started after an incident that took place last June in 2022, where I was the supervisor in charge. On this date, we responded to Matthew Road for the report of a welfare check. Upon arrival, it was determined that the male subject was inside the residence intoxicated. Officers were advised that the male subject had made several threats to harm himself and use a firearm. The reporting party stated that the male subject had access to multiple firearms and planned on using one to harm himself. While on scene, officers received intel that there had been prior domestic incidents involving the male where he was intoxicated and used a firearm, so we had to do the necessary precautions that we do. After several failed attempts to make contact with that male party, we set a perimeter, requested mutual aid from both Little Compton and Portsmouth police departments, and after several hours, we were able to make contact with the male party and order him out without any incident or anything harsh happening. And we were able to provide him with the necessary mental health services that he needed through Newport County Mental Health. After this incident, I began researching different ways to make high-stress scenarios, active shooter, and barricaded suspect scenarios safer for all the officers involved. Chief Jones then sent me to hostage negotiation training to further my training and education as needed to become a hostage negotiator for our agency. While at this training, I talked to several agencies and SWAT commanders who all swore by the use of drones. They added that the drones not only make things easier for law enforcement officers, but also made civilians feel safe in high-stress scenarios. After completing this training, I brought up the idea of a drone program to Sergeant Kobalecki, given that he's our big tech guy, and we started this process. After extensive research and our training by the both of us, we've started the process in developing a drone team for our agency. In our research, we determined the drone will be purposed to perform multiple duties such as the following: accident reconstruction, crime scene investigation and searches, active shooter scenarios. This will kind of help us improve on our safety in the schools, given this was a topic earlier this evening. So I think it will be more important for the children, and I'm working on the protocols for our active shooter scenarios. Bomb searches, threats, will be able to use the thermal to kind of help search the school and do things outside the school to find heated areas if we have a bomb threat. Hostage and crisis negotiation, tactical operations, missing persons, search and rescue, natural disaster relief, assisting the fire department with any big structure fires we can utilize the thermal for, and locating different suspects. While performing these duties, the drone will help create a safer environment for the department's officers, along with the citizens in the community they serve. In closing, our department's mission is to foster favorable community relations with the Tiverton citizens, business owners, and community groups in order to enhance the quality of life, reduce fear of crime, and enforce the law, as well as preserve the peace. By doing so, the agency looks to improve relations between the members of the Tiverton Police Department and the community they serve. Our objective is to improve the agency's day-to-day operations and functions. With this mission in mind, purchasing a drone for this agency will not only help reduce fear for citizens in high-risk scenarios, but also keep the officers safe while performing their duties. Thank you guys for all your time. And if you guys have any questions, Jay's here to answer all those.
Any questions from the council? Thank you very much. Representative Edwards, Senator Felag.
Yeah, it's a great honor for us to get money for our town, that you don't have to go find it elsewhere, so we get it, bring it down from the state. This was a very selfish ask on my behalf. I do a lot of hiking and walking with my dog in Weedamo Woods and Fort Barton, and I want to make sure they can find me when I get hurt. So, Chief? Sir. I know you'll use it well.
Thank you, Rep. Thank you, Senator.
And the next one?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the next grant we have is for the Recreation Department. We were able to garner funds for the Little League, the Senior Center, the Tiverton Library, and the Fire Department during the spring session. So at this time, we'd like to bring up the Director of the Recreation Department to explain specifically what this grant is going to be used for. I know it's going to be used for a wheelchair, but more specifically, he'll have more information for it. So, Stu, that's yours.
You're director now, Stu.
Hey, Stu, you're the
keep getting up
director.
there. So I will also echo what was said by the police department with our thanks on behalf of the Recreation Commission for the consistent support of the representative and the senator. Every step that we move forward, every event or activity or resource that we put out, they've been with us every step of the way. So we're very, very grateful for your consistent support. So thank you both. Very simply, as we move forward, one of the things we're looking at doing within recreation is trying to make as many of our facilities accessible as possible. And so the money that we are receiving here will go towards beach wheelchairs to be applied both at Grinnell's and at Fogland, starting in the 2024 season. So there's some things that we're looking at. Actually, the company that we're looking at purchasing them through, we spoke to them probably a month and a half, 2 months ago when we were informed we'd receive this. And they're in the process of, they gave us a list of different things to look at. We spoke to a couple other representatives in the community, and we're trying to make sure we have the exact right one. But starting in 2024, we're very excited to be able to have this and hopefully make it easier for anybody who's interested in enjoying our beaches to participate. So again, very appreciative of your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to bring forward another item because there's another special guest that I'm sure would want to go home to. 9E. Do I have a motion to bring 9E? Second. Motion's been made and second. All those in favor? Police Chief Jones' presentation of comfort dog for the police department. What's his name?
Brody.
Brody. Hi, Brody.
Come right on.
Rody or Rody?
I don't know.
Oh,
B with a B? B as a boy.
What's his name? Brody. Brody.
Thank you.
No B. No B.
I would love him to just stay with me the whole meeting.
I'm sorry? It's got the policy, and I'm sure the the officers will break it down for you.
Did you get yours?
No, I didn't get one. Oh, yeah, I have one.
So, good evening again. It's my pleasure. Obviously, you've already met Brody. So, this is Officer Sean Wilson and Officer Medeiros of the Bristol Police Department. Officer Medeiros is Brody's handler and the school resource officer who is recently nationally recognized for his work as a school resource officer and as his work with a comfort dog handler for the Bristol Police Department. So, Officer Wilson reached out to Officer Medeiros and pretty much sold me on the idea, which is why we're here tonight to sell it to you. But without any further ado, I'll let Officer Wilson and Officer Medeiros make their presentation.
Welcome.
So yes, for those that don't know me, I'm Officer Sean Wilson. I've only been on for a year, so one of the newer guys. But something that I'm friends with Officer Medeiros for a long time now, and something I've always been passionate about is being a canine officer in the future. And when I saw him and his success with the comfort dog, I was thinking about putting a presentation together for the chief, just to see what he thought of it and go from there. This is the presentation I put together for him. So if you just skim through it, just a bunch of facts and some photos of the comfort dogs around Rhode Island, Mass in action. It also talks about how we could go about getting the comfort dog and just a little bit about it. One main thing I think for the comfort dog is perfect for the community is to bridge that gap between law enforcement and the community itself. We're not the favorites out there to everybody, but I've noticed for now on the day shift, when you do a school check, the kids, you want to interact with them, but some of them are a little standoffish. They don't want to talk to us and everything. But we tested with Brody at Pocasset on their field day, and every single kid stopped what they were doing to come running over and ask if they could pet the dog. And I was like, wow, they don't do that when I'm walking through the hall. But I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. They do want to talk to the dog. So I think having the dog in the schools just bridge that gap a little bit more. That makes the kids a little more comfortable. Maybe they'll talk to us more and more, and then that way they're not as afraid of us if they see us out in the streets. Just personal experiences I've experienced in town are we have a lot of veterans and we do have a lot of senior citizens in town. One interaction I did have with a vet, he was having a mental health crisis and he was thinking about hurting himself, and he even mentioned to me that he goes, if I had a dog, I know they have comfort dogs, he goes, I think it would help my mental health. And I was like, well, why don't we look into it? And I sat down with him in his living room and helped him try to figure it out. And now I'm pretty sure he went through with it, and I haven't heard from him since. So I'm here. I'm glad to hear that he's doing well, just because of that. Another thing that I wanted to mention. Sorry.
It's okay. You're doing well.
Another thing that I've learned. I went to a synopsis at Brown University, and a lot of officers said that it helps officers on the department going through stressful calls, such things like that. Like, for example, a New York officer, she told me about they had a very intense homicide, and a couple officers were thinking about taking their lives. And she said usually their numbers are they take at least 8 officers a year take their lives in New York. She said since they've gone the comfort dogs, they've brought it down to 4. And she's noticed more and more officers come to her house or to the station just say, hey, can I hang out with the dog for a little while? Like, it just helps them a little bit. Why go home and drink and sit there with your thoughts when you can maybe hang out with the dog for a few minutes, keep your mind off things. I've only been on for a year, and I've already went to 3 calls, I think, with some other officers, and we were all like, okay, that was pretty bad, you know what I mean? And I don't want to go home and just keep thinking about that. So I have a dog at home, so I'll pet my dog for a while. But I think that'll definitely be a huge impact on just the department in general, big morale boost and going forward. I'm sure a couple of questions are if the dog bites somebody, it is insured through the trust, like how we are. There's also an alliance of therapy dogs that covers the dog when it's not on work, but at sponsored events or community policing, such like that. And then there's also another thing that I can go through for the veterinarian, and bills and such like that. Officer Medeiros has a lot more experience than I do, so I'll let him try to explain a little bit about Brody. But
So just to piggyback a little bit off of what Sean said about the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. Sorry. Just to piggyback on what Sean said about Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So if you do decide to go through with this, Brody is certified through the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So when we talk about coverage, when the dog is volunteering his time to, go to a school, anything that he's doing, Alliance of Therapy Dogs will cover the dog up into $1 million. So this company has been established for over 30 years. So if they're dogs that they've certified as comfort therapy dogs were biting people, they would be out of business, but they're not going anywhere. The trust will cover the dog while the dog is working, any police event, anything that he goes to. And when you call a trust, Brody was covered within 30 seconds. They just ask, is it a narcotics dog? Is it a bomb dog? Is it a detection dog? I said no. I said he's a therapy comfort dog. They said he's covered. And so pretty much it's just a well-behaved, well-trained dog that starts his training from the day that you get him, and the more exposure he gets, the better off he is. So with Brody, I did the training. What we did was, so just a little bit of history. I didn't have anybody to mentor me there was no blueprint on how to do this. So when I got Brody at 7.5 weeks old, his training started with me. I did have him trained through Petrichor Canine, which was out of Newport. And this was during COVID, so she met with me once a week for 4 weeks, and Brody got his obedience certificate as a puppy. From there, at a year old, he can take his good citizenship and his therapy dog certification, and if he passes, then he's covered under the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. But the handler does all the training for the therapy dog, which since he's been certified, Mike Iacone from Cranston, who was a detective, and myself, we started a association, so the Rhode Island Police Therapy Comfort Dog Association, which there are now 14 dogs in the state of Rhode Island that are covered under the therapy dog certification. We meet once a month so that we can document trainings. We do canine CPR. We do, de-escalation trainings. We do all kinds of trainings once a month so that we can document that, so these dogs are getting training every single month. And if you go forward with that, Sean and the dog will be part of that association.
So does the dog stay with you at night, or
Yes.
stay at the
So,
police?
Yes, he does. He does stay with me. I'm his owner. So I got Brody through Boonfield Labradors, which is in Ringe, New Hampshire. And prior to Brody being fixed, he was their dog. So he was owned by Boonfield Labs. He was donated to the Bristol Police Department. I was his handler. He stayed with me. When he got fixed, Boonfield Labs sent all the paperwork over to me. I am currently now his owner. He retires with me. He stays with me. And he's my dog. He's a family dog. So.
Sean already posted pictures with the little puppy.
Yeah. That's all you got.
Yeah,
Big
that was,
question is, which one are you gonna get?
Mike?
that was a good move.
So who provides you with the training to be able to train the dog?
So basically, once he gets his puppy obedience certification, his training is all the interactions that he has. So in order to become a therapy comfort dog, the more interactions that you can document, and the more interactions that he has with the public, with children, with senior citizens that you document, that's all part of his training to take the therapy certification.
Okay.
So basically, it is his obedience, puppy obedience is covered when he gets his obedience card through a trainer. And as soon as he has that, you're smooth sailing until he or she turns 1 year old. Then you're eligible to take that test under the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. And when you pass that test, he's covered.
So is this a training session now?
Actually, it is. I'm actually gonna document this through
I was gonna
AKC
say.
as a place that I took him to, and it's documented, yeah. Which is another thing, he can get certified, or she can get certified through AKC, Kennel Club, which they, I think, cover the dog up into $1 million as well. And every certification that you get with them is documented, and it's just another piece of paper that you have, so.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question. So I had a talk with Chief Jones about this today.
Yeah.
And when I first read about it, of course, I had no clue what a comfort dog was. And I had no idea, for instance, where do you get the dog, what's it gonna cost the town, the whole raft of questions. So we had a long talk about it, and then he let drop that he intends to adopt the Bristol Police Department's General Order 300.08 about this subject. So once I read that, pretty much all my questions were thoroughly answered. And if anybody else in the room cares to find out what that's likely to be, they can go to the Bristol Police Department website and read about it.
We have comfort dogs at the hospital that come and visit the nurses and the patients, and I notice it makes a huge difference sometimes, so I am all for this.
So I've been a police officer for almost 24 years now. I've been a school resource officer for going on 11. So the first 8 years of my SRO career, it was the beginning of my career as an SRO was a battle to try and get to make relationships with these kids, and try not to force it, but get information and be friendly and have these relationships that develop over time. Since I've gotten Brody, I can 100% tell you that my career as an SRO has changed. The community has rallied around this dog. My department has rallied around this dog. The school department has rallied around this dog. I have kids that are in elementary schools that I have to walk into school since COVID because they won't walk into school. Brody walks them into school. I have high school kids that have mental health crisis on a daily basis that would never talk to me as a police officer. Social workers would try and get them to talk to me and they wouldn't. They're hanging out in my office for a half hour, 45 minutes at a time when they're in crisis. And there's kids that, when they're in crisis at the high school or an elementary school, as soon as they're in crisis, there's no chance that these kids are gonna be able to go back into a classroom and learn in an environment where they feel safe and they are back down to a learning temperament. And there are children that just come for 2 minutes now, pet Brody, get their fix, and they're learning. And they're in class, they're not walking the halls, they're not getting into trouble. Their reward for getting through a class and learning is to see Brody. So it's been a huge help in our district, school district. My chief is 1,000% behind this. This is probably the best thing that the police department has ever done when it comes to community-based policing. So,
Thank you.
anybody else?
So,
I don't think I can do any better than that, so.
all right, so you're gonna come to us with a plan that we can approve? Because there's no vote on this tonight.
Okay, so,
Because
I know Officer Wilson has already picked out the dog.
Yeah, I know, I saw him on Facebook.
So it's just a matter of what we can do is, I mean, the policy, and just as the councilman was saying, Bristol Police Department is a nationally and state accredited agency, so their policies just would mirror ours. And all we're essentially going to do is look it over and just change Bristol to Tiverton
Okay.
for the most part. But the next step in this process is going to be introducing the dog to Officer Wilson and getting it into the department, which we imagine is going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we can definitely put something on the
The
agenda.
next agenda would just be the policy and any costs associated with it.
So the majority of the costs have all been handled and donated thus far, so it's not costing anyone anything.
I just have one other.
We'll need the policy, won't
Will
we?
you approve your policy?
I mean, technically, that would be a first, because
No, I'm not saying approve it, just so, because only Jay has this, we didn't get it.
it's part of your package.
It is?
It should be.
Well, if it is, I apologize.
No, not at all.
So do we need to vote to approve this program? As long as it's no cost, okay.
So I would say the next time that we bring the dog, maybe you could swear the dog in.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'd love to do that.
I just have,
Can we bring treats?
because Sean's not the SRO,
Yes.
will the dog still be able to go into the
Oh,
schools?
so Officer Wilson is going to, I think as of Friday, Officer Wilson will be assigned the day shift. So he'll be
Okay.
working during the day with the dog when school's open.
Oh, okay,
Madam President,
yes.
just a quick question for the solicitor. Since this is departmental policy,
don't have to.
the council doesn't have to weigh in at all, right? I mean, the chief can just go do it.
Policy, only the chief probably needs to.
Yeah, he said
Okay.
that. Yeah. All right, well, good luck, and I can't wait to meet him.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Brody.
Bye, Bodie.
Bye, guys.
Wicked well behaved. All right. We'll start from the very beginning. Consent agenda. Approval of town council minutes, August 15th, regular meeting. Councilor deMedeiros and Burke abstain. August 15th, executive session. Councilor deMedeiros, Burke, and Perry abstain, absent. Acknowledge a receipt of minutes from boards and commissions and committees. Dog Park Advisory Committee, 1. Board of Canvassers, 2. North Tiverton Industrial Park Committee, 2. Acknowledge receipts of reports, Treasurer Saurette, July 2023, budget and revenue reports. Acknowledge receipt of correspondence, HUD letter of notification for Tiverton Housing Authority regarding public housing assessment. Administrator Cotta letter to Housing Executive Director Cameron Brutzman, and response from Housing Executive Director Cameron Brutzman. Notice of claim from Thomas Chace and Highland Ridge Farm LLC. Would anyone like to pull anything off the consent agenda? I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Is there any public comment, Joan? Okay. Appointments and resignations, discussion and possible votes. Zoning Board of Review, 7-member board, 5-year term, 2 vacancies, alternates. Edward Carl Schrober, Junior, 124 Long Pasture Way, request reappointment, term ending 7/15/2024. Is Edwin here? I don't see him. He was supposed to be? Well, I don't see him. All right, so we'll table this to the next meeting, and we'll send him an email. Budget Committee, 7-member board, 1 vacancy. Abigail Despres for 17 Judson Street, request appointment, term ending 11/2/2026. Is Abigail here? Come on, Abigail.
It doesn't matter, whichever
Wherever
you
you're more
prefer.
comfortable.
Just pull the mic up, please.
Abigail, just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to be on this board.
So my name is Abby. I lived in Tiverton since 2018. My history as far as employment and dealing with finance, I'm the Chief Financial Officer at the Greater New Bedford Workforce Board. I'm also the financial consultant for Massachusetts Workforce Association. Also was a previous governmental auditor where I did for Bacon and Company. We did the audits across Rhode Island, Tiverton Stonebridge being one of them. Just very familiar with finances. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I feel like I can make a difference, and I have a lot of knowledge and experience in the field where I feel like my input would be valued and would be helpful.
Your resume is very impressive.
Thanks.
Any questions for Abby?
Just very, very impressive resume.
Oh, thank you.
I think you'd be.
Well-versed in finance.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
The next one for the Budget Committee, John Malzone, 453 West DeMello Drive, request appointment, term ending 11/2/2026. Is John here?
Madam President, Mr. Malzone wasn't able to make this meeting, but he is available for the next.
Okay. So we'll table this appointment until the next meeting.
Is there only one?
There's only one, so
Oh.
yeah, so we'll have to interview. So Abby, we're gonna wait till next week and interview Mr. Malzone, and then probably make a decision next week or the week after.
By phone or email will I get a response?
We'll email you.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next meeting would be 2 weeks, right?
The next meeting's in 2 weeks, okay, Ab?
Perfect, thank
Okay.
you.
I'm on first name basis with her now. Board of Licensing, discussion and possible votes. This was tabled from last week. Jim Long, Longplex LLC, 300 Industrial Way. Request approval of special event permit for indoor car show on October 8th, 2023, from 10 to 3 p.m., subject to meeting all legal requirements. And like I said, it's continued from 8:15. So I wasn't at the last meeting. It was tabled for discussion again.
If I could just weigh in there, Madam President, yes, for the benefit of yourself and the Vice Chair. This came up, we asked some questions, there was general discussion. The feeling that I had was, personally, I think we should have just approved it, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Again, it's a continuation of an event that happened last year, the prior council approved it. There was some doubt from my fellow councilors, Edwards and Janik, so reluctantly, we pushed it to this meeting.
I do want to get a legal perspective on this, because there was some kind of opinion what I understand from watching, that we should wait until the court decision came through, but that's not going to happen for a while.
So unfortunately, we have a court case that's pending regarding the definition of indoor recreational facility. All the briefing has been done. We're waiting, after Labor Day, all the judges of the Superior Court get reassigned. We're waiting for the new judge, Newport, to get reassigned to hear the case. We have called the clerk's office. We're waiting for that judge, whoever that judge is. I think it's going to be Judge Respallo. Yeah. Once he gets there, he will schedule his hearing for that matter, and that will hopefully resolve this ongoing issue we have. What constitutes indoor recreational facility, or an event that can be hosted in an indoor recreational facility. So, when you say that we approved it last year, I believe that the council approved. It was a nonprofit. I think it was the Rotary Club. It was a Lions Club.
Club.
So my understanding is this is from the applicant himself, right? This is not an outside group. This is.
We're going to have outside groups participate financially, but Mr. Long is
the
hosting
sponsor.
the event.
He's
He
the
is the
host.
sponsor.
But the last one was for the Lions
Lions
Club.
Club.
Correct. Yeah.
Lions and Rotary.
Oh, Rotary.
Was it Rotary?
So it's up to the
And
board.
I think it's because they couldn't find a place, and they had already
Correct.
Right.
kind of got everyone together and couldn't do it at the place they were going to have it, so.
Green Acres.
Green Acres. So, Longplex offered their building, and we did it there. Okay.
So whatever the board decides, if they decide to go forward with it, I think the applicant understands that it's without prejudice for the town to
I was
assert.
just going to ask
To
that.
assert its rights. We're not waiving or waiving our we're not waiving our rights under the current case law that, hey, you approved it once, you must agree that this is what recreational facilities means. That's not the case whatsoever if we go that route.
And as far as any other legal requirements, like the fire and police, I know that Jim and his staff will work with the fire chief and the police chief to
I
get whatever is
understand
needed for
tomorrow, maybe.
legal requirements.
We're working on getting the meeting with the police and fire, getting everyone in the room. That's been
Because
the
I'm
tough
hearing
part.
it's probably tomorrow, but maybe not. I don't know.
We'll take it.
You're expecting 700?
Hopefully the exact same as last year.
So
right
it's
around
within a 5-year, a 5-hour period, though?
Correct.
So it's not 700 all at once, because we've had concerns about that in the past. Mike?
No, when appropriate, I have a motion, and
Okay.
just to predicate that. Certainly, I've expressed my opinion on whether or not this is indoor recreation, since we have the court involvement at this point, if I may make a motion.
You can make a motion, we'll have it second, and we'll
Yep.
continue discussion.
So a motion that we approve the special event permit for the indoor car show on October 8th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For Jim Long at the Longplex LLC, 300 Industrial Way, subject to meeting all legal requirements and without prejudice.
Second.
Is that sufficient?
Without prejudice of waiving the town's.
Without prejudice of waiving the town's.
Assertions under the current case.
Second.
One question I do have, are you planning on having other events during that same period?
No.
So that should be part of the license as
With,
well.
with,
None at all?
No,
it's
actually,
good.
he did say that he would comply with the state fire code
We-
related
we
to the
won't-
mezzanine area, whatever that.
Yeah, so there's two separate issues with that. Just so you know, Madam President, because we went over at the previous meeting, there aren't any other scheduled events in the building at that time. Secondly, the mezzanine area, including the gym, but not including the restaurant, are shut down for this.
Right, the restaurant can be open, we've
Correct,
always
and
understood
that's
that.
because of the fire code requirements.
Right,
So with the agreement that no other events will be held during that day, and the mezzanine and the athletic club gym will be closed at the same time.
Correct.
so I have a motion and second. Deb, do you have anything that you'd like to offer? Jay?
No.
The only thing as long as this is without prejudice, because I still don't feel this is a sporting event. But we did allow it a year ago, and I understand it was for a nonprofit, but we still allowed it, and it's the same event. It's the same way you're gonna do it.
That's the thing.
And that was without incident, I believe.
And any of, just so you know, he does have rental businesses in there, all those are operational.
Right.
They don't shut down.
It's any special events.
Right, it's like another event, a soccer game or whatever will not be going on. Birthday parties,
We'll have birthday parties, yes.
you will have birthday parties.
They have their own rooms.
It won't affect the floor area where they'll have the cars.
No, I'm trying to think of where the birthday parties moves.
They're another restaurant.
And to the right.
Yeah.
Near the restaurant.
And like the
Okay,
dance
yeah.
studio, and that'll be
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
operational,
And they won't
Yeah.
be part of the crowd downstairs.
They're at the opposite end of the building.
Yeah, now I'm stunning. But I still say that I'm not quite sure this is a sporting event or what we intended this facility to be, but that will be decided at,
Not by us, but yeah.
by a different time, so I'm not gonna argue that. Any other discussion?
Just one quick point for yourself and for the vice chair. I made this point at the last meeting. Again, this is a special event, so again, whether or not the building was designed to house this event, I think is a moot point because everybody's residences in town where they host weddings,
Right, they can only have two.
Correct, the preserve down where they do,
Right.
they do the country day at Pardon Gray. I mean, we issue these special events all the time. I mean, heck, even Main Road and Highland Road are not for road races, and they're not intended for road races, yet we approve special events
But you
there.
do
So
understand.
I do
that
understand
by-
this.
By putting that limitation here is, you can only have two of these, so I understand that, but that's not what we're doing right now. We're allowing this as not as one of his special events at this point.
No, this is a special event permit.
It is a special.
Right, but it's not counted as only two a year.
Correct.
That's what I'm
Well,
trying
Yeah,
to
well,
say.
the PDP is entirely different.
Pending.
Right.
The issue is, does it comply with this event, which I consider to be an exhibition from a legal perspective, not a recreational event? Does it comply with the zoning that's currently there? That's not for us to decide. I think the town is in good faith moving forward and allowing them to have this. There could be a time when the court rules in our favor, and then we'll have a whole different discussion about some of these events.
Yeah, and we don't want to do anything to
Or
affect
on the opposite.
affect
if
the
it rules
case
against
either
us,
way.
we'll have
So,
another,
okay, so motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
you'll be meeting with them
Yeah,
at some
I
point.
think that's all set to come out.
They didn't know about tomorrow, so.
We have a separate inspection coming in. That may be what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just with the fire.
Okay, all right.
Just all there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 3 in 1, but they're
Oh, okay.
not for the event.
all right, Dan. Thank you. All right, general business, Mike DeCotis, discussion and possible vote regarding softball tournament on October 7th, 2023, October 9th, 2023, at Town Farm South Field, Pocasset Field in Bulgarmarsh. Stu, do you want to just say, no, it's all right.
He's in the bullpen,
He's in the bullpen.
warming up.
Okay, so Mike, this youth softball tournament, correct me if I'm wrong, and I just think it's important to say, does not involve any Tiverton teams, any Tiverton Little League teams.
No teams, correct.
Kids that are from Tiverton.
Yes.
So,
No, yes. There are no teams that are just Tiverton Little League.
Right.
There are 20-something Tiverton Little Leaguers
On
in the
these-
tournament on other teams.
on other teams. So what are you doing? And this is what I got confused about, because we usually don't approve it doesn't usually come with us. But what this really is Tiverton Little League is asking for permission to have this tournament.
Correct.
And you're getting a profit from this.
Correct.
And where is the money going?
So last year, we ran this for the first time. We had 14 teams come in. We did have a team made of Little Leaguers, which was different. So that team didn't pay to be in the tournament. We made $5,400. We took $4,800 of that. We gave it to high school seniors this year. 3 boys, 3 girls that played softball or baseball for Tiverton Little League. So almost all the money we gave back in
So it's like a
scholarships. So it benefited Tiverton students.
Now, Stu, the recreation brought it to us because of the situation where there was no Tiverton team.
Bullpen, Stu's one.
Yes, so the distinction on this one is that Recreation is in full support of Tiverton Little League. They've been great partners. They help take care of the fields, all this stuff. But the revenue that is coming in is not, the field use that we had given was for Tiverton Little League teams to use the field. We don't charge for field use. So essentially, this would be as if any other entity was coming before and asking to use the fields. It just so happens that there's an existing relationship with Tiverton Little League, and there are kids in it. Recreation, and Mr. DeCotis has very kindly come before us previously, and Recreation did vote to approve it, pending approval from the town council as well. And there were a couple other stipulations we put on every tournament that has come before us, none of which actually have ended up coming to you. But it was town council approval, porta potties at each location, and a dumpster to make sure the trash was taken care of. And the other thing, the only outstanding one pending approval here was a review of a parking plan relative to the footprint, because one of the days does overlap.
I was going to ask that. So Sunday is the market.
Correct.
So have you talked to Meredith to see if this is all going to work?
I have not yet, because I wanted to make sure tonight would happen first before I did that. But in my conversation with Stu, we figured out a way, well, we didn't figure out a way, I discussed a way. My plan is we could actually try to caution tape off certain areas. The good thing is we have the whole parking lot, including the baseball side where the playground is. So at any given time at Town Farm, there should only be 2 teams playing. So with 2 teams playing, the amount of vehicles, it's not like an event where there'd be hundreds of people there. There would just maybe be 40, 50 people there consuming maybe 25 cars.
Because Meredith is very popular. She gets 300 to 400 people sometimes, more. I go one time, it was only noon, and she told me 300 had already been there. And they park in that back park at the dump site. But I really would like you to talk to the farmers market, considering they have it every Sunday, and try to figure this out.
I don't think we'll have the number of cars that will overwhelm the parking lot. Again, I think you're talking about 20 cars. I mean, if you have 12 kids on the team and you had 12 parents, and you do the math, you're looking at 25 cars, an umpire.
And grandparents and uncles and aunts.
I don't think so, because some of these teams are coming from Maine, upstate New York. So, I mean, I think it's just parents are coming down. There are some local teams, so you're right, there could be some, but I think for the most part, we're not having lots and lots of people, so 2 teams will play, and then those teams will be done, and they'll leave the complex, and 2 other teams will come in. It'll be like a rotating in and out.
Yeah.
But I will talk to Meredith about that, for sure.
I'm fine with the whole thing, except that I really, because Meredith has this every Sunday, I just hope that you 2 get together.
What we're doing won't affect them, and if I have to, I can have all my people park on the baseball side where the playground is, and we can send that out ahead of time, like this is where you park.
Okay,
We can try to work that out.
Any questions?
So if I'm coming from Maine, I'm only coming down for 1 game?
So you play three games, and then on Sunday, which is the problem, Sunday is a single elimination.
Okay.
So 2 teams will play, 1 team wins, 1 loses, the team that loses goes back to Maine.
So theoretically, I could decide that I'm going to hang out all day and watch all the other So it might be more. It might not be a whole lot more.
You,
but it
you
might-
could, but if you live in Maine, you're probably gonna hit the road.
Not if I still have 2 other
No,
games
not
to
if I'm
play.
coming.
No, on Sunday, the day in question with the farmer's market, that's single elimination day. So win or lose, win, you might stay, but we're not only playing at Town Farm. They're gonna be games at high school, middle school,
okay.
Southfield, so they're gonna be all over the place. So it's not centrally located in one area. It'll be spread out. But you're right, they could stay and
Bulgarmarsh,
watch a game, and
Would that interfere
Especially
with?
I want to learn from those better teams. No.
they could.
Well, Bulgarmarsh
They're
Field,
smart.
isn't that where the women softball play on Sundays?
They do, but I don't believe you.
We're
need
not
to-
asking for
So they're-
Bulgarmarsh for Sunday.
We did look at and it's pending field use conflict, and so Sunday was not an issue at Bulgarmarsh with that.
Okay.
And because the fields are enough, and I actually abstained from voting on this when it came before because my daughter would be on one of those travel teams. I can tell you, I don't want to sit at a field where my kid's not playing any more than I need to, nor will people
Yeah, because
from
you do
Maine.
it all the time anyway.
So I would say that I think Recreation didn't have any objection to what is being put forward conceptually. It was just that it's a slightly different structure,
Yeah.
which is why it's here.
Deb, did you have a question?
You said 2 fields. Are they playing on the softball field that's near the farmer's market? And is it the lower field?
So, no, so we're asking you for the use of the softball field at Town Farm, one field. Number 2, Bulgarmarsh on Saturday, Friday,
Okay.
Saturday.
So there's only 1 field at Town Farm then?
That is correct. There's only 1 softball field. Then we're asking for Southfield, which we've turned into a softball field / T-ball field. We're also asking for Pocasset softball field. And then we're playing at the high school and the middle school, which is already done with the schools. And we actually might be playing at Colt State Park and Portsmouth. This is a big tournament.
Wow. So does this impact, on Saturday, is there soccer? Is there fall ball?
Just got the schedule today from soccer, and luckily, there is recreation in the morning. So we won't start till, they finish at 11:30. We'll start at noon on Town Farm, but they don't have any games during Columbus Day.
So again, one of the stipulations in here was in confirming that there would not be an impact on the other field users. So, and Mike had sent me a note before that he connected with soccer, and we'd already talked about the farmer's market, so.
Okay, so I know there's a lot of use of those fields.
Someday.
Any
We'll
other
have this.
questions?
I know, huh?
Not really sure how to do
You
this.
want to
but-
come help out, Mr. Edwards? Is that
No,
what you- was
I'd
that
like
what
to
you're
make a
about to
motion.
say?
I'd like to
Yeah,
make a
he's
motion,
volunteering.
I'd like to make a motion to, approve the use of the field as described by Mr. DeCotis and supported by Recreation.
Motion been made second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, Mike.
Thank you. I thought I was going to be a special guest and get up here earlier with the other people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not an Edwards.
You didn't.
I'm not an Edwards.
And you
You're
didn't
not a
bring.
senator
I didn't give a check
You didn't bring the
or a
dog.
dog. I didn't have a check.
Well, we did have you earlier today.
I
We did
was.
bring
I
you
was
in
a
at
special
6.
guest between 6 and 7. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You're out of here by 8, Mike. Lucky you.
DPW Director Rogers, discussion and possible vote to award contract for repair of gazebo in Middle. What's the matter, John?
I can't even read half of the stuff that was printed, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to defer to the director.
All right, go ahead.
Well, thank you. And we did put out the gazebo. We worked a lot with Renee Jones, so we thank her for that. The town did request that DPW get the work done on the gazebo, so we put out the bid. Nobody bid, so then as allowed by state law, we beat the bushes for 3 quotes, estimates, prices. We received 2 for the roof and 1 for general carpentry and painting. So DPW's, request is that we allow NBC to do the non-roof work, the non-shingling work, starting off at the eave and the center column, and he would have to provide an estimate prior to starting work. The AEM, we recommend to be given the roof shingling contract. After those first 2 steps, then we see how much we have for remaining funds from the grant that the town council approved that Renee worked on to obtain. And then NBC would be providing the additional work on the posts, the decking, the stairs, et cetera, as funds allow.
All right, any questions?
Madam President?
Yes.
Just one, the AEM contract. That's not the chair of the Economic Development Committee, is it, that responded?
You mean the name, Renee?
Yeah.
No, she was just beating the bushes to get somebody to give a price, so,
Oh, okay, so she filled that out, okay.
well, no, she didn't
You were
fill
gonna
it.
do the roof.
I'm just, that stuck out to me. Anyway, Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve, award the bid as recommended by the DPW Director.
Motion, yeah, motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Stay there. Discussion, possible vote to approve funding to advertise for bids for the construction of the permanent recycle center.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Can I
Thank
That
you.
was the easiest
Can I
one.
just ask a question? Does that mean that we've got our DEM approval?
We're getting it this week.
Can you say that in 10 words?
Yes, and under 10 words, PAR has submitted I talked to them last week, they said they were gonna submit the last of the comments to DEM. They expect DEM to provide a permit in the middle of next month or so.
He failed the
We need
10th
to
birthday.
teach you how to count. That's about 50.
Yes.
The others were free. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Moving on to, let's see, F. Chief Jones, you have several. Come on up. Oh, shouldn't say that in honor of Bob Barker.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, discussion and possible vote to authorize the town administrator and the chief of police to create a proposal for the police department's dispatch center to be funded through a congressional earmark.
So this was the funds that we received, the $500,000 to upgrade the dispatch center. We're at a point now that we want to put it out for RFP. We've been talking with a local architect who designs public safety facilities, but obviously we want to do it appropriately, put it out for an RFP. So this is just permission for the administrator and I to work on that request.
Motion?
Make a motion to authorize the town administrator and the chief to create an RFP for the police department dispatch center to be funded through congressional earmark.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Thank you.
And then next,
Just so that when the RFP is done, we can actually post it, get it out.
Yes, that's my intent. Sorry if I was unclear.
so I don't see a need to read through all of these. But Police Chief Jones, discussion and possible vote to approve budget transfer request for fiscal year 22-23 as listed. Anything you need to add on these?
That's just last year's
Do I have a
overages and
motion?
expenses. It'll just close out the police
This
department.
is last year.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like,
I got a question before the motion.
Well, either way, but go ahead.
So Chief, this year,
Yes.
we've taken a couple of bucks less than $17,000 out of education.
Yes.
Why?
Officers, because we have so many new officers, officers are not allowed to go to school while they're on probation.
Yep.
So,
Question answered.
Okay.
Yep.
John?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget transfers as requested by Chief Jones for 22-23.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Back to you, Madam President.
Discussion,
I knew there had to be a reason.
Chief Jones, discussion possible vote regarding a new parking ordinance for the town beaches.
so I don't necessarily think that a vote would be appropriate because I don't have an ordinance in front of you yet. However, I do want to bring to your attention that I plan on bringing an ordinance now that we're coming towards the end of the season. As you know, that we're working with Recreation on the new parking app, and in speaking with the Recreation Director, we determined that even though we have an app and it's wonderful, there is no ordinance for us to cite someone who doesn't use the app. So now we have to create an ordinance so the police department can enforce it when people are in violation and not using the new parking app. And also what we'd like to do with the parking ordinances, much like every other municipality, if you don't pay your parking ticket, it doubles, it triples, and there are other violations. So this is just for your consideration to put it on the agenda. So I'll be presenting something and working with Recreation on an ordinance.
And it also pertains to people that go through who have parking passes that are expired.
Correct.
And they park anyway.
Correct.
And there's nothing the police can do.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Everyone's okay with this?
Don't leave, Chief.
Don't leave, Chief.
No, I know it's my item, but
Yeah, I know. He needs
he's
to
going to help
stay.
me with it in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, okay. All right, go ahead, Chris.
So,
Discussion and possible vote regarding school memorandum of understanding of school resource officers.
So we've bandied this back and forth a number of times between the school administration and the town administration related to the SRO. And there were 2 other agreements that didn't quite make it, but we're in agreement with the camera agreement, and that was one of them. I forgot
The
that.
body cameras and access to the cameras.
They're
The
school
department
cameras.
has.
So as it relates to the SRO, the chief did meet with the administrator of the school system today. They sent back, I don't believe there's going to be any changes. I think they're going to agree to the terms that we had originally set out. We're going to run it back by our labor council just to make sure that we're on solid ground like we did the last time. And we'll send it back and we'll go to the school board for approval. We don't believe this, because we can't change the collective bargaining agreement and we can't change the policeman's bill of rights, that it really puts us in no place but to do it the way that we had the agreement the first time. And I think the chief confirmed that with the superintendent today. So it's just a matter of facilitating getting those agreements in place.
Okay, any questions?
So the SRO will utilize a body camera in the school?
So,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Madam President?
Yes.
So I just have a quick question. Since we have a meeting with the school committee on September 5th, can we get it done for then and put it on the agenda so that they can?
We'll try, but I don't know if
Okay.
we'll get it on their agenda and get it approved. That's,
We'll try.
we'll
Okay,
try.
I'm just,
All you
if we're
do
gonna
is
meet with them and they're gonna ask us for money and stuff, like, we should get something out of the deal, so.
And they will be paying their portion of it. is
Well,
that-
that has nothing to do with that. The agreement is
I know, but I
is-
would love that to
is
be. in
supervisory
agreement
only as it
also.
relates to who controls the SRO.
It is part of the MOU.
It
that
is
they-
part of the
it is.
MOU.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
only one
It is.
split.
All right, but even if it is, it's set in the budget the way it's set, and it's.
Well, I know, but there's been discussion about it every year.
And it carries over for future years.
Correct.
Right.
All right, but we didn't lose any custody control based on the collective, that was our biggest stumbling
No,
block.
but
was
you
the
see where I'm
collective.
going
No,
with
no, I
this.
get it.
Every
I'm
year
part
it's
of
this
it.
discussion.
How many
who's
years
paying for it.
is that for, Chris?
It's a memorandum of understanding.
So
I think it stays until
un-
until
It's
somebody
perpetual
wants to change.
unless something changes, correct?
Changes.
So can you guys get this done this week?
We'll try.
All right. And we'll just make sure there's a majority at the September 5th meeting and put that on the agenda.
We'll try our best.
If you can.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Council President DeMedeiros, update on Teamsters Local Union Number 251 contract. I just have a brief statement to read. I'd like to briefly respond to comments that have been made in the press and on social media concerning the contract negotiations between the town and its DPW employees. This has been approved and written by our labor lawyer, in case you all want to know. First, the town has been and will continue negotiating in good faith in these negotiations, just as it does with all our unionized employees. Second, the town has proposed a generous economic package that includes significant pay increases over multiple years. A major part of that proposal is to move employees out of Teamsters' run health plan and into the same health plan that the town provides to our municipal employees. With no change, the Teamsters run health plan will cost more than $27,700 per employee per year by 2025, with employees responsible for paying more than $4,000 of that cost. Moving to the town's health plan will save both our employees and our taxpayers thousands of dollars per year in healthcare contributions and is a solid plan. As part of this proposal, the town is also offering an immediate 5% increase to wages, followed by a 3% wage increase in the following years, if our proposal is accepted. The union has rejected this proposal and has insisted that their employees stay in the Teamsters-run health plan, despite its rising cost to employees in the town. Although we disagree on this issue, we will continue to negotiate in good faith until we reach an agreement that is fair to both the employees and the taxpayers that we serve. Thank you. And I have a copy of that if you would like it. Council President DeMedeiros scheduling a meeting regarding casino gaming and ARPA money. We already scheduled that for next Tuesday,
September 5th?
September
At the high
5th,
school?
At the high school at 7 o'clock.
In the high school library, not the auditorium.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. Administrator Cotta, discussion and possible vote to authorize current contract change and retroactive salary adjustments to 2.5% from 7/22/2023 for Executive Assistant Mary Lou Sullivan, which will be tabled until we come out of executive. Town Administrator, discussion and possible vote to authorize current contract changes and retroactive salary adjustment of 2.5 from 7/1/2023 for tax collector Tony Lynn McGowan. That will also be tabled until we come out of executive. I'd like to entertain a motion now to go into executive session. Rhode Island General Law 4246 5A1, Personnel, Job Performance, Annual Evaluation for Executive Assistant Mary Lou Sullivan. Town Administration, Rhode Island General Law 4246A1, Personnel, Job Performance, Annual Evaluation for Tax Collector Tony Lynn McGowan, notice given. Councilor deMedeiros, Personnel, Job Performance for Town Administrator Christopher Cotta, notice given. Town Solicitor, Rhode Island General Law 4246 5A2, Litigation, Highland Ridge Farm LLC v. Town of Tiverton et al., NC 2023-0260, update.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.